So this month, I replayed Abzu, which is an action-adventure game developed by Giant Squid Studios and published by 505 Games for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, Windows, and Amazon Luna. Initially, it was released in 2016 digitally, and a retail version for consoles was released in early 2017. It follows the journey of a diver exploring the ocean and restoring life using sonar calls. The gameplay allows the player to freely navigate underwater environments ranging from open water and natural caverns to ancient ruins. It was in development for 3 years with a team of 13 people. Several members, including the game developer Matt Nava and the composer Austin Wintory, had previously worked on the 2012 game Journey, which was by the same studio, which is another really good game I would love to cover at some point. Obviously, going from sand to water, some contrast, but it is a similarly styled game. The setting and story drew from Sumerian mythology and the cosmic ocean myth. This was made using Unreal Engine 4. And the fact that it was done with a team of 13 people, including the composer, who is just a composer, I double-checked. You know, he's not a Marty O'Donnell type where he's running a bunch of different other stuff. Like, it was 12 actual game devs. And I think that's really cool. So basically, you are a diver, as it says. You are, what you'll find out later is a robot, a drone of sorts. And you're just kind of vibing. Like, you're just dropped into this game. You have no idea what you're doing, where you're going, or any sort of objectives. There is no dialogue, and there are no other humanoid creatures, and certainly no humans in this game. It is a semi-linear, more like semi-open world. It's mostly linear exploration. So there are large caves, caverns, just big swaths on the open floor. The most diverse amount of ocean environments you can imagine, from like really tropic stuff to the Arctic. It's everywhere. The lighting and color palette is beyond gorgeous. It's constantly beautiful. There are like no tech problems with this thing. It looks great. Unreal Engine runs smoothly. The assets are very low resolution, but in like the good way. Like, they're intentionally low poly models with low resolution. So everything flows gorgeously. It's extremely artistic and very creative to use the limited time and technology. And the gameplay is really simple. You swim around using the left and right stick. You have like a boost button and you have a twirly button and a button to interact with things. That's it. So you can do backflips and left flips, and you can hold the twisty button while moving the stick around, and you can do all sorts of barrel rolls and shit just for fun.
Oh, so the twisty button lets you rotate. Okay, I see. Yeah, I was about to ask what a twisty button was. So if you press, I think it's I don't remember off the top of my head. It's one button you can press. If you're just moving forward, you'll do like a somersault. If you're moving backwards, you'll do like a backflip. If you twist it in certain, it's almost like playing like the skate games, kind of. And the way that you use the right stick in those games when you jump determines what trick you'll do with the board. It's kind of like that. Same with Rocket League. You can rotate long ways or short ways.
Yeah, it's really, really expressive. And I think that's due to the fact that it's so simple. There is, I think, 3 functional buttons. I believe all of the face buttons on the controller do the same thing. Like, that's it. There's nothing else to it. But because of that, it has such an open amount of flexibility, and the environments are so big and open, and there's like no collision on anything really that isn't the hard environment. So you can wade through plants and of all types, vines, whatever, and just be doing flips and shit. You can increase your speed. You get momentum. It's really, really fun. It is mostly linear. There are, tunnels. They're like, not like wind tunnels, but like speed traps, basically, that push you through. They speed you up, and then you are just going down tunnels and whatnot. It's a lot of fun. You get to explore different types of ruins from this mysterious previous culture that you learn made you, the drone. You're just kind of exploring. It's very, very natural feeling, despite the fact that it's not an entirely open world game. It feels like you're just chilling and you're like, ooh, look, I want to go over there. And then you just go over there. There are certain parts of this that exist in mildly creepy areas, actually, where you can just swim for like minutes on minutes on minutes in one direction. And you'll eventually get to the point where you can't turn around and see anything. Like, I had to reboot my save when I just started dicking around too much because I would just get lost. Like, in Combat Evolved, you can drive the Warthog so far off the end of the map before you die. It's insane. It feels like that. Like, you can't even tell where you were. You lose all sense of direction.
When you say some levels are creepy, does that mean you have the opportunity to die?
No. There's no combat and there's no conflict in this game. I'll get to that. More like most of it takes place during the daytime. It's bright and sunny. It's close to the surface, but the deeper down you go and the more weird the visuals get, sometimes you have to go through areas that look a little spooky. You know, it's dark, it's twisty, there's not a lot of sea life. The sea life gets not more hostile, but it looks more hostile. Instead of groups of like clownfish, they're like sharks. It just gets more intense. It's fun. I don't know. It's not too much. It still feels nice. It doesn't overplay its hand. The only real narrative elements come in towards the third act after you've explored ruins. If you're paying attention, you can follow the story that's being told, but you have to pay attention to it. Otherwise, you're just exploring stuff and slowly making your way to the end of the infinitely long map. But towards the third act, you end up like saving different types of sea animals. I believe you end up rescuing a shark who then ends up letting you that's the fun part. You can ride on large fish. So most of the fish are either they're in little schools that are, tiny little things, or they're large-ish. None of them are realistically portioned. I don't care. And you can like grab a hold of them as they swim around. It's really fun.
Spencer living out his Aquaman fantasies of riding large fish.
Yes. More like having the large fish ride me.
That's where I was going with it.
You can also hitch a ride on a blue whale, which is phenomenal. Those things are so big and so gorgeous in this game. There's just so much effort put in. I don't understand how they did this. Like, there's just so much here for so few people working on it. The environments aren't repetitive, like, at all. There's a couple of transition areas you bump into, but that's about it. Nothing feels like it's reused. There are no reused assets. And the only really intense thing I would say, quote unquote, combat wise, is there's a sequence towards the end of the game, whereas you start following the downfall of this civilization, basically through the hieroglyphs on different tombs and whatnot. They end up, filling the ocean with fucking bombs because we do that because we're stupid. And then they settle, they kill wildlife, they destroy the environment, blah, blah. There's one sequence where you have to swim through what must be hundreds of assets alone of like bombs. You have to navigate around them as they're slowly falling and moving around to try to get to the exit. So they're EMPs because, less violence. So like it'll knock your drone out for a couple of seconds. And that's about it. But it has a spooky red/orange light going on the whole time, and the music gets spooky. So, if you have thalassophobia, I would not recommend this game. I do, and that made it incredibly fun and also terrifying sometimes. Just the sheer size of some of the structures and animals you come across is actually terrifying, especially the stuff that is artificial, which is like the point of the game, is putting more effort to be in touch with the natural things that are already there and preserving like life rather than building these ginormous, incomprehensibly large behemoth monuments to ourselves, basically. That's effectively the whole game. The only things that do exist that are not aquatic life forms is there are penguins and polar bears. If you go to a certain area towards, I believe it's in the beginning of the game, you can jump above the surface and like hop onto an iceberg and like just say hi to penguins. It's pretty funny. I don't know. There's some collectibles, I think around 50 in total. There are like you release like certain stuck, fish or other aquatic creatures from getting tangled up in seaweed or nets or whatever. So you basically collect, like a codex of aquatic life forms. that's about it. Like, it's just really straightforward. The soundtrack is gorgeous. The gameplay's fun. It takes 3 hours on a single playthrough, about 6 if you're doing 100%. It's short, it's high quality, it's to the point. It's an incredibly vibes-based game. Like, if you stick on headphones, you play it in the dark, oh, there's something special.
That was something I forgot to mention. My playthrough of Mafia took 15 to 20 hours. I think it's kind of funny that I played Goodfellas and you played Philosophy according to Sea Divers. So we're all over the place on this show.
Oh, for sure. I paid, I think, $10 for this game. I believe it sells for $20 digitally, and I got it on a sale.
You've played it at least 3 times.
I believe 3 times, yeah. I played it once just to play it. I was in awe. I played it a second time for 100% completion, and then recently I replayed it, which took about 3 or 4 hours just for fun. Strong recommend. I know it's a genre of games you're not really into, but like, it's fun to just poke around at least for a little bit, just to appreciate the twisty turbies and the special little fishies. I don't know.